So I hope the screen is visible to you. So are the slides visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us start the class. In the last lecture, we were talking about the Schottky barriers, right? Or the Schottky contacts or the Schottky diodes, which are formed by, when you have a junction between metal and a semiconductor. So then a Schottky contact or maybe a Schottky barrier or a Schottky diode results, right? So when you have a junction between a metal and semiconductor. Now we had discussed yesterday that for this Schottky barrier or Schottky contact or Schottky diode to result, the work function of the metal, so that should be greater than the work function of the semiconductor if the semiconductor is N type. So if the semiconductor is N type, the work function of metal should be greater than the work function of the semiconductor. Now, then we commented that since here, while looking at the energy bands, we can see that the average energy of the electron on the semiconductor side. This is greater than the electron energy on the metal side. So because of which the electrons from the semiconductor, they will start moving or diffusing into the metal side. So electrons from the semiconductor, they move into the metal side. Okay. So when the electrons leave, they leave behind them the donor ions, which are represented by this positive sign over here, and you have a depletion region created on the semiconductor side. Now since these electrons have moved into the metal side, so you have a deposition of negative charges on the metal side, or one can say that the positive charges, they induce opposite negative charges on the metal side. Okay. So both things can be assumed. Now because of the positive and negative charges at the junction, you have a barrier. Since Fermi level has now aligned, Fermi level is constant throughout now the device. So because of this Fermi level alignment, because of the movement of electrons from the N to metal side, N type to metal side, now a barrier is created at the junction. Right? So electrostatic barrier, that is QV naught, which is equal to Q phi m minus phi s, that is the work function difference between the metal and semiconductor. So this much barrier is created for the electrons from the N side to the metal side. Right? So electrons now, which were moving from N side to metal side, so they see this barrier. Similarly, electrons from metal side to the semiconductor side, so they also see this much barrier, and this barrier is Q phi b, which is equal to Q phi m minus Qx psi. Sorry, x, not x, psi. So psi is the electron affinity. So we see here that a barrier is formed at the junction. Now we also commented yesterday that we do not want such kind of barriers. So this is undesirable because for in a PN junction diode or maybe any diode or any device, so any diode or any device would be expected to be connected to other devices also. Okay, so let us say I have a diode over here. Just a second. So let us say I have a diode over here. Now this diode will obviously be connected to some other diode or maybe some other MOSFET or maybe some other circuit element, maybe a resistor or maybe anything, right? Now this connection, so this requires a metallic junction. I mean, some metallic lead will be connected here at this point. Maybe at this point, if I say to N-type semiconductor, some metallic lead will be connected, and via this metallic lead, other components will be connected to the diode. Okay. Now, if this metallic lead is, having a barrier, at this point, that is a Schottky barrier exists here, then the amount of bias which is required for this device to be functional, or maybe this device to be functional, so that bias will be more. In fact, that bias will be equal to the Schottky barrier plus the barrier potential of the device also, right? So that results into a wastage of power. Okay? So that is why this barrier is undesirable. Now this was the case for N-type semiconductor, right? Now similarly, when a P-type semiconductor is connected, or a P-type semiconductor is in contact with metal, so then also Schottky barrier can result. So which is explained over here. So this time I have a P-type semiconductor. Now this time the work function of the metal is less than the work function of the semiconductor. Okay? So for Schottky barrier to result in this metal and P-type semiconductor, the work function of the metal should be less than the work function of the semiconductor. Okay? In the previous case, the work function of the metal was greater than the work function of the semiconductor when it was an N-type semiconductor. But for P-type semiconductor, the work function of the metal should be less than the work function of the semiconductor. Okay. So again we draw energy band diagrams for metal and semiconductor, with work function of the metal being smaller than the work function of the semiconductor. So work function of the semiconductor is here. So this is larger than the work function of the metal. Now when a contact is formed, again Fermi level alignment will happen, and here in this case we see that the whole energy, the average whole energy, because Fermi level is close to the valence band, so average whole energy of the semiconductor side is greater than the if there are any existing holes in the metal side. So holes from the P side, so they will start moving into the metal side. So holes from the P side, so they start moving into the metal side for Fermi level alignment. So when holes leave, so obviously they will leave behind themselves the acceptor ions, okay? And because of the holes leaving and coming over here in the metal side, so at the junction near the metal, positive charges will be induced or deposited, or one can say because negative charges are present on the semiconductor side, so positive image charges will be produced on the metal side. So again we have positive and negative charges appearing at the junction. So now because of this positive charges, we understand that the role of positive charges to push the energy bands down, and the negative charges role is to pull up the energy bands. So that is why on this side we see that the bands are pulled up. I mean, I have a band bending of this kind, right? So positive, the bands are pushed down, negative, the bands are pulled up. So again I see that now I have a barrier for holes here. So holes see this much barrier, right? Since hole energy, it increases as you move down the valence band edge, right? So the hole energy increases as you move down the valence band edge. Okay? So I have a barrier for holes. So now the holes see barrier, that is holes of P-type semiconductor, they see a barrier. So since they were diffusing or moving from semiconductor side to metal side, now because of this Fermi level alignment and band bending, the holes see this much barrier. Okay? And this barrier is equal to Q phi S minus phi M. That is again the difference between the semiconductor work function and the metal work function. So which is equal to QV naught, or the barrier potential. Okay. Similarly, electrons on the P side, so they also see this much barrier, or maybe this much barrier. So electrons on the metal side, so they also see a barrier. So electrons see a barrier. So metal electrons, if they try to move into the p-type semiconductor, they see this much barrier. Okay. And holes, if they try to move from p side to metal side, they see this much barrier. Okay. Now again, this barrier can be reduced by application of forward bias. So here also, in the previous case also, this barrier can be reduced and this device can be made conductive by application of forward bias. So the application of forward bias will reduce the barrier. So let's say VF is my forward bias voltage which is applied. So the barrier potential will reduce with the applied forward bias, right? So similarly here also this barrier potential can be reduced by application of bias. Okay. But yes, since there is a barrier here, it is undesirable, and because of this barrier, one needs to apply a potential or a bias which is equal to or more than this barrier potential for this device to conduct. So which is undesirable. Okay. One would want the device to conduct as soon as the bias is increased from 0. Right. So at 0, of course, we don't want conduction, but yes, as soon as the bias increases from 0 to maybe let's say 0.1 volts or maybe 0.01 volts, the device should conduct. But because of this barrier, the device does not conduct unless and until the applied bias that surpasses this barrier. So that means we don't want Schottky contacts, right? So we don't want Schottky contacts or Schottky barriers. Instead, we want ohmic contacts. Right? So whenever we try to fabricate the contacts. Okay? So whenever we try to fabricate contacts, let's say these two are the contacts. These two are the contacts for a PN junction diode, let us say. So whenever we try to fabricate contacts, we try to fabricate ohmic contacts. Ohmic contacts, we don't want to fabricate the Schottky contacts, right? So these ohmic contacts can be fabricated by considering again few things. That is, or before that, let us also talk about rectifying contacts. So before ohmic contacts, let us also talk about rectifying contacts. Now these Schottky barrier, that is these Schottky barriers or Schottky contacts, they are also called rectifying contacts. Okay. So Schottky barriers or Schottky diodes or Schottky contacts, they are also called rectifying contacts. So rectifying contacts because these devices or these contacts, they conduct only for one type of bias polarity. That is, they will conduct only for positive bias and they will not conduct for negative bias. So for example, when you apply a forward bias, the Schottky barrier, so that is reduced by this much amount. Okay. And then the diffusion of electrons or holes can again start, and then the current can be obtained. Right. So you have to apply a bias, forward bias or positive bias, and when you apply positive bias, the device conducts because the Schottky barrier reduces. Okay. Now, if you apply a reverse bias on the Schottky contact, right? So when you apply reverse bias, the barrier potential, that is Schottky barrier, so this further increases. Okay. And this becomes QV0 plus VR, that is depending upon whatever reverse bias you are applying. So this barrier or Schottky barrier increases. Now when the Schottky barrier increases, so obviously that means that electrons or maybe holes from the p side, they cannot diffuse into the metal side, right? So that means there will be no current, or the current will only be because of the generation current. That current will be very small, right, in this region. So that means that these Schottky contacts are rectifying contacts. That is, they allow current for only one polarity of bias, that is positive bias, and they do not allow current for other polarity, that is negative bias, right? But as I said that we don't want such kind of contacts, rectifying contacts to connect the devices. Instead, we want ohmic contacts. So these ohmic contacts, they can conduct for both polarities, that is in both biasing directions. These ohmic contacts can conduct. That is, you will find current for both kind of biases. That is, for forward bias also you will find current, and for reverse bias, that is negative polarity bias, for that also you will find current. So this kind of contact is called ohmic contact, and this is the desirable contact. So whenever you want to connect the two devices or maybe a device to some source, we want ohmic contacts on the device terminals, right? So for example, in a PN junction diode, as I said, I want to connect P and N side to some maybe device or maybe some power source. I need to have a ohmic contact over here. Okay? I need to have a ohmic contact over here. I don't want a Schottky contact. Okay? So ohmic contact, that is, which can conduct as soon as the bias is greater than 0 or less than 0. It will conduct. I mean, it should conduct. So that is called ohmic contact, which has a very small resistance. And the ohmic contacts, they do not rectify signals because they can conduct in for both biases as soon as the bias is greater than 0 or as soon as the bias is less than 0. So these ohmic contacts will conduct. That is why these are desirable. Now, how these ohmic contacts can be achieved? Okay. So again, we consider the N-type semiconductor over here and a metal. Okay. Now, this time to achieve a ohmic contact, you need to ensure that the work function of the metal is less than the work function of the semiconductor for a metal and N-type semiconductor contact. Okay. So however, earlier for a metal and N-type semiconductor contact, we had seen that work function of metal was greater than work function of semiconductor, which was resulting into a Schottky barrier. But now if work function of metal is less than the work function of the semiconductor and I have an N-type semiconductor, so now this would result into a ohmic contact. So one can understand now that by only varying the work function, I mean by selecting a metal with a work function of less than the work function of a semiconductor, one can create a ohmic contact easily, right? So ohmic contacts can be created if I select a metal which has a work function which is less than the work function of the semiconductor, if the semiconductor is N-type. Okay. So then the ohmic contacts can be formed. So let us see the ohmic contact here. Okay. So we said that the work function is selected, the work function of the metal is selected so that it is less than the work function of the semiconductor, if the semiconductor is N-type. If it is P-type, then this thing will be reversed. Okay. So this thing has to be kept in mind by whoever is designing or whoever is fabricating the diodes, or maybe whoever is fabricating a IC, right? So one has to remember that if it is an N-type semiconductor, then metal, the work function of the metal has to be chosen such that the work function of the metal is less than the work function of the semiconductor for ohmic contacts. And if it is a P-type semiconductor, then work function of the metal should be greater than the work function of the semiconductor. So in this case, let us consider work function of the metal is less than the work function of the semiconductor, and I have an N-type semiconductor. Now again the Fermi level alignment will happen. Okay. Now this time you will notice one difference over here, and that difference would be that in this case the average electron energy of the electron in the metal side, right? So the average energy of the electron on the metal side, so that is greater than the energy of the electron on the semiconductor side. Okay. because Fermi level on the semiconductor side, so that is at a lower energy than the Fermi level on the metal side. And below this Fermi level, all the states are filled with electrons in the metal. So average energy of the electron in the metal side is larger than the average energy of the electron on the semiconductor side. So because of which the electrons from metal side, so they will start moving into the semiconductor side. Okay. So electrons from the metal side, they will start moving into the semiconductor side. Okay. Now when the electrons move into the semiconductor side, so we have now electrons or negative charges deposited on the semiconductor side of the junction. Right. So when the electrons are moving from metal to semiconductor side, so these electrons or negative charges are accumulated on the semiconductor side. Okay. Now because of this accumulation of negative charges, we have induced charges, positive charges on the metal side. Okay. Now one very important thing you will notice here, that on the semiconductor side, this time there is no depletion region. Okay. But in the previous case, if you see, there was a depletion region. Okay. So here also there was a depletion region. Okay. So depletion region because majority carriers were depleted from the semiconductor side. Okay. Majority carriers were depleted from the semiconductor side. Okay. But now in this case, the majority carriers are accumulating. Right? In N-type, majority carriers are electrons or negative charges which are accumulating on the semiconductor side. Right? So majority carriers are not depleted, but majority carriers are being accumulated. Okay? So I mentioned it over here that majority carriers are being accumulated on the semiconductor side. So that is why you don't see a depletion region over here. Okay? Now, because of this movement of charges, the Fermi level is aligned. Okay. Now, here in this case, we see that there is a very small barrier. Very small barrier is existing, okay, for both electrons and holes. Okay. So this barrier is very small, and this can be easily, surpassed by application of very small voltages. Okay. Now, this barrier is very small compared to the barrier which was seen in the previous cases. Okay. These two cases. Okay. Now this type of contact is called ohmic contact. Okay. Because there is very small barrier which can be overcome by a very small bias voltage. Okay. Now an important thing, as I said, that this kind of junction or this kind of contact, which is called ohmic contact, so this will conduct in both the directions of biases. That is, when a forward bias is applied, then also it will conduct, and when a reverse bias is applied, then also it will conduct. Now that was the case for N-type semiconductor and metal contact. Now similarly, a ohmic contact can be formed by a P-type semiconductor and a metal. So which is being shown over here. So here a ohmic contact is formed between a P-type semiconductor and a metal. Now in this case, you will see that the work function of the metal is chosen such that it is greater than the work function of the semiconductor, okay, for a P-type semiconductor. Okay. So earlier in the previous case of Schottky barrier, the work function of the metal was less than the work function of the semiconductor. But in the ohmic contact case, the work function of the metal is greater than the work function of the semiconductor. So work function of the metal is this time greater than the work function of the semiconductor. So which can be observed here, work function of the metal is greater than the work function of the P-type semiconductor. Right? So P-type, since Fermi level is close to the valence band. Okay. Now again the Fermi level alignment will happen when these two are contacted together. Okay. So Fermi level alignment means the movement of carriers from one side to another side will happen here. Now this time you will see that the electron energies on the p side, the electron energies on the p side is greater than the electron energies on the metal side. Electron energies on the p side, and p side already has electrons as minority carriers. Now since these minority carriers have larger energy, or average energy is larger than the average energy of electron in the metal side, so these minority carriers will move into the metal side. That is, electrons will move from the semiconductor to the metal side. Okay. So when they move, they again deposit on the metal side, and when the electrons leave, they leave behind them a positive ions. Right? Or one can say that when electrons leave and they go into the metal side, so metal side has now accumulation of negative charges. So because of the accumulation of negative charges on the metal side, the opposite side, which is semiconductor, it will have opposite charges, which is positive charges, or accumulation of majority carriers on the p side. Okay. So again we have accumulation here. Okay. This is accumulation of positive charges, and this is not depletion. Okay. So we have accumulation of majority carriers on the p-type semiconductor. It is not depletion of majority carriers. So that is why again in this case we don't see any depletion region or transition region on the p side. Okay. So this is important to note in both the cases. That is, here also you have accumulation, and in the previous case also you have accumulation of majority carriers. Okay. So that is why we don't see any depletion region on the semiconductor side. Now because of this Fermi level alignment over here, okay, now you see that there is no barrier for holes. So holes can easily move from p side to the metal side. Okay. So this is not a barrier, right? Because hole energies, they move, they increase when you move down the valence band edge, right? So this is not a barrier for holes. In fact, this is a very easy situation for holes to move from p side to the metal side, right? This is not a barrier for holes. Okay. But yes, there is a barrier for electrons from metal side to the semiconductor side. But yes, there is no barrier for holes. Okay, so holes can easily move from p side to the metal side. Okay. So this type of contact is also called ohmic contact, since there is no barrier. So far we have only talked about the PN junctions where the band gap of the two regions were same, right? So far we have only talked about the PN junctions, or the junctions, and in this case the band gap of P region, so that was equal to the band gap of N region. In fact, it was silicon semiconductor. Okay. So silicon semiconductor has a band gap of 1.1 eV, whether it's a p-type or n-type. So far we have considered only a semiconductor junction with equal band gaps on both the sides. Okay. Now a semiconductor junction can also be formed when the band gap on both the sides are different. Okay. So for example, in this case, so this is my p-type semiconductor and this is my n-type semiconductor. Okay. So here in this case we see that the band gap, that is, this is my band gap of p-type, okay, and this is my band gap of n-type semiconductor. So both are different here. Okay. And these two semiconductors are also different, that means. Okay. So these cannot be silicon, because silicon has same band gap, or maybe if it is also germanium, so also they may have same band gap on both the sides. But this material is different, and this material is also different. Maybe let us say this is silicon, okay, and maybe let us say this is germanium. Okay. So heterojunctions are junctions which are formed between two different materials of different band gaps. Okay. Now when such type of of course, these kind of heterojunctions, so they have certain applications. Okay. So they are useful in certain applications. For example, for LEDs, which are fabricated using gallium arsenide or maybe gallium arsenide phosphide. Okay. So these LEDs which are formed by gallium arsenide and also gallium arsenide phosphide. So these are an example of heterojunctions, because all these three semiconductors, gallium arsenide and phosphide, so they have different band gaps. So heterojunctions have certain applications, but whenever a heterojunction is formed, now because of the differences between these band gaps, and also now you will also find that there are differences between the work functions between these two materials, and also the electron affinities. So these are also different. Now because of these differences, that is these three differences, that is band gap differences, work function differences, and electron affinity differences, there will be discontinuities of this kind in the energy bands. Okay. So when these two kind of materials are contacted together, the Fermi level is aligned, that is Fermi level is now constant throughout the device at equilibrium. Now because of this alignment, there will be discontinuities of such kind appearing in the energy bands. Okay. But yes, this kind of heterojunction, as I said, they have some good application. For example, as I said, they can be used in LEDs, and many more applications are there. Right. Now let us also talk about, once again, let us come back to heavily doped junctions. So sometime back we had discussed the heavily doped junctions. Okay. So let us come back to the same topic, and in fact we want to discuss this tunnel diode. Okay. Because in heavily doped junctions we had discussed that if both sides are heavily doped, then the depletion region is very thin, or the barrier is very thin. Okay. Now because the barrier is thin, the electrons or maybe the carriers can tunnel through the barrier. Okay. So the tunneling phenomena or quantum mechanical tunneling can happen through the barrier itself. Right. So because of this tunneling, the current or reverse current can increase. Okay. So we have discussed this. Okay. So now let us once again bring back the same junction, that is heavily doped junction, where both sides are heavily doped, P plus and N plus. Okay. And in fact the level of doping is such that the doping is, we call it as degenerately doped semiconductor. Right. So the level of doping is such that the semiconductor is now called degenerately doped semiconductor. So what is degenerate levels? So that is, for example, if it is, let's say, a p-type semiconductor, right? So if it is a p-type semiconductor and if it is a degenerate p-type semiconductor, then the Fermi level will overlap with the valence band edge. Okay. Similarly, if it is a degenerate n-type semiconductor, then Fermi level will overlap the conduction band edge. Okay. So these are called heavily doped semiconductor or degenerate semiconductors, where Fermi level overlaps either the valence band edge or the conduction band edge. So these are called heavily doped or degenerately doped semiconductors. Okay. So both sides are heavily doped or degenerately doped. Okay. The depletion region becomes narrow because of heavy doping. Okay. So depletion region becomes narrow. Okay. Now because the depletion region becomes narrow, the barrier is thin, quantum mechanical tunneling can happen. Now because of this quantum mechanical tunneling, the current can increase in reverse bias. In fact, in tunnel diodes, you will find that there is zero reverse breakdown voltage. That is, in a normal PN junction diode, not normal PN junction diode, let us say, in fact, in a normal PN junction diode, this current actually saturates. But in a tunnel junction or a tunnel diode, this reverse current increases as soon as the reverse voltage increases beyond zero. Okay. That is, we have now a zero reverse breakdown voltage. So this is called zero reverse breakdown voltage. Okay. That is, the diode enters the breakdown as soon as the reverse bias is increased beyond zero. However, in the normal case, the diode breaks after some reverse bias, which is called breakdown voltage, and somewhere around 3 volts Zener breakdown happens, and at somewhere around 8 volts or more than 8 volts avalanche breakdown happens. So this is what we have studied so far. That is, at a certain voltage reverse bias somewhere around 3 volts, minus 3 volts, Zener breakdown happens, and somewhere around minus 8 volts or more than minus 8 volts avalanche breakdown happens. But here in the case of tunnel diode, zero reverse breakdown voltage is required. That is, reverse breakdown happens as soon as the reverse bias is increased beyond 0 volt. Okay. Now there are some applications of such diodes. Okay. Since this diode also has a negative conductance region. So negative conductance region, that is, when you increase the forward bias, the current increases, and then after some time when you further increase the forward bias in this range, okay, the current starts falling down. Okay. So why this current falls down, we will understand. But yes, let us digest at this moment that when the current is increased, when the bias is increased, for some time the current increases, and then further if the bias is increased in this range, the current starts falling down. And then after this, the current again starts increasing. Now this region, that is this region. Okay. So this is called negative conductance region. That is, the current here becomes, it starts falling down while the bias is increasing. The bias voltage is increasing and the current is falling down. So that is why this is called negative conductance region. Now this negative conductance region has certain applications which makes this tunnel diode useful in certain applications. So for example, for implementing oscillators or oscillations, then for switching purposes, and also for amplification purposes, this tunnel diode can be utilized. Okay. Now let us try to understand all these regions in the tunnel diode. That is this region number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now let us try to understand these regions in the IV characteristics of a tunnel diode by considering the energy band diagrams. Okay. So at equilibrium in a tunnel diode, since both sides are heavily doped, okay, the barrier is thin. Now at equilibrium, the valence band, the empty states in the valence band, so they are in front of the empty states in the conduction band on the n side. Similarly, the filled states are in front of the filled states on the conduction band side. Okay. So because of which there is no current, okay, at zero bias. Okay. So which is represented by this point 0. Okay, that is this point in the tunnel diode. Okay. That is at equilibrium. The empty states on the valence band sides of p type are in front of the empty states on the conduction band of n side. Similarly, filled states on the p side in the valence band are in front of the filled states of the conduction band on the n side. Now as the reverse bias is applied, okay, so when you apply a reverse bias, that is negative here and positive on the n side. Okay. So the effect of applying a reverse bias is, that is, the energy bands on this side will be pulled up and the energy bands on this side will be pulled down. Okay. So that is when this happens, then I mean these states which are here, so they will also move up, and these states on this side, so they will also move down when the reverse bias is applied. So that is why we see that filled states, they have moved up. Okay? So earlier they were here, so they have moved up. Similarly, empty states, they have moved down. Okay? And in fact, you will find that filled states are now in front of the empty states on both the sides, right? So filled states, that is filled with electrons, and the barrier is already thin, and the states are also empty here. So a quantum mechanical tunneling can happen. That is, electrons from this filled states can move into the n side empty states. Okay? And when this happens, so that means at reverse bias, the current should increase. Okay? So the current is increasing in the reverse bias, which is shown by 1. Okay? So which is marked by this 1 over here. The current is increasing in the reverse bias. Okay? Because of this reason. That is, filled states now are in front of the empty states and the barrier is thin. So tunneling is happening. So because of which the reverse current is increasing. Okay. Now let us say a small forward bias is applied. So from the equilibrium state, now let us come to the forward bias state. Okay. So forward bias, obviously that means I want to apply a plus over here, a minus over here. So that means this will push down the states, energy bands, and this will pull up the energy bands. Okay. So when these are pushed down, so that means empty states are pushed down here. Okay. And the filled states are pulled up. Okay. Filled states are pulled up, empty states are pulled down. So now the empty states are in front of the filled states. Okay. So now again the quantum mechanical tunneling of electrons from n side to p side can happen. So quantum mechanical tunneling from n side to p side happens when when a forward bias is applied. So that means the current should increase, and the current should be solely because of tunneling in this case, right? So which is represented over here by number 2 over here. That is, this portion of the IV characteristic is due to the tunneling of electrons from n side to p side when a small forward bias is applied. Okay. Now, when the level of this forward bias is increased, okay, so that means these states are further pushed down, and these energy bands are further pulled up. So push it down means empty states further go down and filled states further go up, right? So that means now we have smaller number of filled states in front of smaller number of empty states, okay, because of this movement of the energy bands down here and up here. So now we have smaller number of filled states in front of smaller number of empty states. So because of which smaller number of electrons can tunnel from n side to p side. So that means the current should saturate now. So the current has saturated. So this point represents this fact, that is, few number of filled states are now in front of few number of empty states. Now when this forward bias is further increased, that is, when you apply a large forward bias. Okay. So when you increase a large forward bias, so that means the energy bands on this sides are further pulled up, and the energy bands on this sides are further pulled down. So which means empty states, they come further down, and filled states, they move further up. Okay. So that means in this case there may be no filled state in front of the empty state. Okay. Because empty states have been pushed down and filled states have been pushed up. So no states no empty states now in front of full filled state. Okay, so that means no tunneling current. So that means the current should go down in this case. So which is being represented by this part portion, that is portion number 4 of the IV characteristic. That is, there are no filled states in front of the empty states. So that is why the current is going down. Tunneling current goes down. No tunneling current now. Now when the bias is further increased up to this point or maybe up to this point, okay. So now when the bias is further increased, so that means the barrier here, this barrier, forward bias is increased. So this barrier is also reducing with forward bias. Okay. Now tunneling cannot happen now, of course, because of this forward bias is very large, but the diffusion of carriers from N side to P side, so that can happen now because this barrier has reduced because of large forward bias. So now the diffusion of electrons from N side to P side dominates and tunneling is zero. Okay. So which is represented by number 5 over here. Okay. So after the tunneling current has become zero, because the bias was increased, now the diffusion current dominates over here. So this is solely due to diffusion current. Okay. And all the other regions, that is 2, 3, 4, so they are because of tunneling. Okay. So in a tunnel diode, you have a tunneling current also and diffusion current also. So I think I'll stop here. And if you have any queries, then you can ask. So if you have any queries, then maybe you can ask your queries.